Lord, I'm tired from all this stressing, too weak to count my blessings. Ain't got time for window dressing, just trying to keep my soul intact. I've been running hard, feet on fire, dreams and duty tangled in wire. But when my strength starts slipping away, I still hear your voice say, don't grow weary in well-doing. Get those problems off your chest. Cast your cares on my shoulders, and I'll give you rest. I'll give you rest. These bills don't pay themselves, and my prayers pile up on a shelf. But even in my weakest hour, you remind me I still got power. I've been down, but never out. Grace gon' lift me, I got no doubt. Even when my tears won't dry, you whisper peace inside my cry. Don't grow weary in well-doing. Get those problems off your chest. Cast your cares on my shoulders, and I'll give you rest. I'll give you rest.
All right, my Misfit family, welcome back to Misfit Halloween. What day is it? It's Friday. Welcome back to the island. Now my little Misfit family, my little army. Yeah, this is where we all gather, right? To shut out all the chaos and all the noise of the world. We come here and we dig into God's word and we prepare for these perilous times that's coming on this planet as we walk in this world full of deception, right? I mean, it's rampant. My wife just showed me this app. She's got on Facebook, and it's like, I don't know how it works, but I don't know, I guess you give it prompts. And she's got pictures of like, well, we're a Colts game, and I look like I'm FBI, and I'm all geared out with guns and bulletproof vest, and got a K9 dog with me, and it looks like full blown real. And then you could put like any environment, vacation, on a plane, at a dance club. I mean, she had it, or I guess she prompted for me, and it gave her it put her in pictures with other men. I'm like, man, if people don't know like this kind of stuff, I mean, that kind of stuff is going to cause divorces and violence, and I mean, you don't know what's real anymore. And I'm telling you, the AI is getting so good. It looked real. It looked real. And so that's scary, man. That's why I say we walk in this world full of deception. I'm telling you, me, Misfit Island, I am real. This is all real. This is all me. Nothing fake here, except for a little dye. I'm 62, so you think I got a black beard at 62? No, I dye my beard, but everything else is real. Nothing fake here. So, yeah. So thanks for coming to the island, and it's, so we need to be ready to be able to discern the signs of the times, because if you can't discern the signs of the times, like I said, this deception. If you can't have discernment and try to figure out what's real or not, you're going to be deceived, and it's only going to get worse. I'm telling you, it's only going to get worse. It's only going to get worse. So the only way that you're going to be able to stand during these times is to be rooted in the truth, and the truth is the Bible, literally. And I'm telling you, you better get a Bible now, because they are changing that too. And and people, I got apps on my phone. You think when this chaos starts happening, when they clamp down on this, that they're not going to? I mean, we already seen it happen in 2020, right? They're going to shut up. I wouldn't have to. If I'm still here and the chaos goes on and this country's taken over, and the left gets what they want, and they steal, kill, and destroy everything, I wouldn't doubt if I'm on a list, they're going to come and take me. Even though I have 20, 30 views, they don't, and I guarantee this channel's gone. They'll scrub it from the internet. All channels like this. Anybody's teaching truth. And I'm telling you, if you're you happen to just pop on here and you don't know what this is, it is going to be really hard to find people. It's hard today to find people that are teaching truth, that know what they're talking about and they're teaching truth, and they don't have an ulterior motive to manipulate and control you. I mean, I'm just reading the script. I'm just reading the scriptures. I'm just reading this channel here. I'm just reading the Bible and trying to figure out what God is telling us as I read it. I don't go into any kind of prep. I mean, I have my life that I've lived and the things I've learned. Like I try to use as I'm going through it and reading it. But it's like I don't prep for this. I know what I'm going to read, and I come in and I read it, and then we go through it together, like a little Bible study. It'd be the same thing. So if you've never done a Bible study, never read your Bible, or you don't have a Bible, I recommend you go get one. If you're still here, I know you're something's gone on in your life, and you're seeking truth. It's like the midst of this chaos. It's like there's got to be. Is there a God? Is there a God? And again, I've said it before. If you're that person and you're watching this and you want, just stop, pause, and pray. Say, God, I don't know anything about you. I don't understand you. I don't get it. Actually, I don't believe in you. Prove to me that you are real. And if you mean that, I guarantee you, if you keep your eyes open and your ears open, something's going to happen in your life. Something's going to come in your life, and God is going to show you that He is real. It may be small and subtle, and maybe something huge. But when you hear that, when you see that, then, come back here and find me, buy you a Bible, come back here and find me and go through this together, because this is how Christians, true believers that have a relationship with God, this is how we build that relationship. This is how we understand the truth, is we read the Word daily. And if God touches you like that, it's my prayer and my hope that you sit down, and if you're brand new and you know nothing, when you sit down, it's going to be foreign. It's just like if you want to learn how to play guitar and you pick up that guitar, I'm telling you, it's a lot of practice just to get any kind of noise out of it. You see people playing, it looks easy. Well, reading the Bible, let's say you start studying to learn how to write code on a computer, or you're learning a new language. You're trying to play the guitar or the drums or an instrument. You don't pick it up right away, and it's hard, and you don't understand any of it. And it's the same with the Bible. You're going to start reading, you're really not going to understand it, but just before you start, say, okay, God, you did this for me, and you showed me that you're real. Help me understand this. I don't get it. And then start reading. And the more you read, God knows your heart. God knows our heart on all of us, on everything. And it drives me nuts that people try to slam you and put you down because you're listening to a Christian song that the people that wrote it are their main purpose and goal is to make money. God's not worried about that's on them. If you're listening to it and you're worshiping the Lord, He knows your heart. So I won't get caught up in all that. This, that. I try to stick with just reading the Word. I try to stay out all that madness. And I try to stick to reading the Word and trying to build my relationship with the Lord. And He says, as you read the Word, He's going to give you a level of faith, like a video game. You're going to click up in these levels. The more you read, the more you're going to understand. I'm telling you, once you start putting this puzzle together and start seeing the big picture, it's when the world fades away, and you're no longer seeking to feed the flesh. You're seeking to feed your spirit and your soul. And the best thing about that is if you have that heartburn and you give your life to the Lord, you're going to live forever with the Lord. And if you're doing that right now, before the rapture happens, you're not going to have to worry about any of this stuff I'm reading. You'll never see it. Well, you may see it, but you're not going to live it. It's not promised for you. God promises to protect His own, like Noah, like Lot, and all kinds of other people, all throughout Scripture. He always has His remnant, and He protects them. Not that you're not going to go through trials and tribulations. That's if you're new and you don't understand anything, that's your only promise. You're promised, if you read the book of Revelation, you're promised a blessing. And if you become a Christian, you're promised trials and tribulations, but everybody in life goes through trials and tribulations. So there's nothing different about that. Maybe different kind of trials and tribulations. What else is promised? Well, your salvation is promised if you believe in Jesus Christ and the price that He paid. And that's what your foundational belief and your faith is put into on what Jesus did for you and not what you can do for Him. Then you're saved. And there's other things too, but I can't think of right now. And if I try to think, this might take forever. So, anyways, yeah. So we're going through the Book of Revelation. I've gone through the whole New Testament except for a couple of Gospels. And I've done series like 31 Days and 31 Proverbs and 30 Days with Jesus, and I've done Daniel. And I'm going through this second time through the Book of Revelation. And I just like the only book that I'm really, really competent in teaching. understanding. And a lot of people, most people in the world have no clue, and they avoid the book of Revelation like it's the plague, especially churches and, I don't know. A lot of people don't want to believe what's going on in the book of Revelation. They either think it's already happened or it's allegorical or, I don't know. And I think those people are really, they love the Lord. I mean, they love the world. They love the world. So it's, nanner, nanner, nanner. I don't want to hear what you got to say. It's not real, nanner, nanner, and doesn't make it not real. It's real. So, chapter 1, he says, in chapter 1, at the beginning, he promises anybody that hears this or reads this book, and hears the words of this book, is going to promise you a blessing. And then at the end of the book, John tells us that if anyone, he says, I testify to everyone who hears the words of the prophecy of this book, if anyone adds to these things, God will add to him the plagues that are written in this book. Not good. And if anyone takes away from the words of the book of this prophecy, God shall take away his part in the book of life. That's definitely not good. And from the holy city, you just lost your perks, can't go into the holy city, and from the things which are written in this book. So when you read this book and you teach this book, you definitely do not want to add and subtract from it. And I think there's a lot of people that add and subtract from it that are born again, Holy Spirit filled, loving the Lord, but they go into it with presuppositions and things they've always been taught, and they try to. And I think the biggest problem of everybody that teaches the book of Revelation is they try to make all this fit in 7 years. And I think that's why they twist a lot of what is said in here. They twist it, or they poo-poo it, or they blow it off, or whatever, because it's got to fit in the 7 years, because that's what they believe. And I'd love to sit down and talk to them. I mean, I've wrote things like this guy. He's like he's a Christian. He started out a podcast, and he's pretty big, but he's all into Bigfoot and all the supernatural things it's called the Confidentials. I think Confidential or whatever. And he's a Christian, and then the Lord is got his channel big, and now the Lord is pricking his heart to start teaching the Word of God. And I watched one of his videos about something. I forgot what it was about, but I told him, it was about I think it was about the chaos that's going on and how short time is, or something like that. I don't know, or the spiritual realm or something. But I messaged him in the thing, and I'm like, hey, I teach the book of Revelation. I'd love to come over to your channel and just sit down with you and go through it. It might take us 6 hours, but I'd love to go through it with you, because it was whatever he's talking about. It fit into what I'm. And I don't think he's talking about the Bible. It's talking about something else. Most of this stuff's supernatural, and a lot of his guests, I was like, I'm like, I don't know, but I never. Especially people that say they went to heaven. And they come back and they explain it, and God told them this, and God told them that, and the Apostle Paul said you can't describe it, and you can't even. There's no words to say about anything about it. And these people come back they're like God's their bro, hey dude, what's up, dude? And, they're coming back and we did this and we did that, and I got prophesied this, and I got new interpretation of the scriptures here, and I was just somewhere that says if anybody's saying they got a new interpretation of scriptures, they're a false prophet, or I don't know. There is no new interpretation. What is said is said. There's no new revelation. What was it, Jack Smith or whatever became the Mormons. He had a new revelation from God, and they gave him the Book of Mormons, and it was all demon, infested. I can't think of the word. Possessed, demon possessed. Definitely influenced by this supernatural realm of demons and fallen angels. And so anyways, so that's what I tried to do here. Try not to add and subtract to this. I'm just trying to go through it. And my whole thing was I was trying to go through it and figure out how it all went together, and I come to the conclusion after a year that it's literal judgments, individual judgments, and I think it's chronological. I think it doesn't. There's a gap period, way more than anybody teaches, and I believe just by I don't know what I think of it, the typology. It's the way God has always dealt with the Jewish people is always through sevens, or usually 40s. 40 days or 40 years. Like Noah, rain for 40 days and 40 nights before it stopped raining. What did we just read about the something I just read? I think Wednesday about 40. Something on 40. Oh, Jesus, after he died, and he was resurrected, and he walked the earth for 40 days. It's like another ministry, explaining to people about what's going to come to the earth. It's coming soon. And it's always 40s and 7s, and I believe the gap period is minimum 7 years, if not 40. And I'm telling you, if you take the scenes calendar, they're like in March, they're going to go into the last 49 years, and they believe this end of this 49 years is the last of this. I forgot, they call them Meteors or something like that, but it'll be 6,000 years. And they believe that in their prophecies in that calendar, they believe the Messiah is coming back at that end of the 6,000 years, which would be 49 more years. And if the rapture happens, and I believe this 4-year gap, and then you got the 7-year period, that's 47, and Jesus says, I come back, because if I don't come back, the mankind will destroy mankind. So, it fits perfectly. So, who knows? I may be way off, and they may be right. I don't know. I'm just presenting my case here as I go through this. I'm just like putting timestamps to it. Like, all is like, when you kill a fourth of the world, how long is that going to take, and how long would it take to like clear out the madness and the death and mayhem and disease from all that, and burying the bodies or burning them, or I don't know, maybe they have some kind of angelic invention where they just like zap them and they disappear, a little pile of dust, or I don't know, maybe something comes along that we don't know nothing about right now, just like people didn't know anything about all this stuff. Like say 100 years ago, if you was reading the book of Revelation, you went to chapter 13 and it says he's going to control you, unless you have this mark, you can't buy or sell nothing. And they're probably like, oh, that's allegorical, because they couldn't see it. How are you going to do that? And just because they couldn't see it doesn't mean it wasn't true. And now we can see how they can do it. I think it's going to be something even greater, far more terrible than what we know now. But we can see how they can do that. They did it in 2020. Peacefully. Everybody willingly did it. They thought they was in charge, and it was on. What they wanted to accomplish in this world of world dominance, one world government. I don't know what those titles for him. We don't even call him Satan, I guess. We'll call him Satan. That's what he wants. He wants the world to worship him, and he's going to have his half-breed son, with I believe, him and a woman, and she's going to give birth to the Antichrist. But we get there when we get there. So we are in chapter 8 right now. We're going to dig in, and I don't know how far we're going to get. A lot of people call this the Judgment of the Thirds. So let's just see. We're 16 minutes in. Let's see how far we get. So chapter 8, verse 1. When he opened the seventh seal, so remember 7 was like an overview chapter. It gave you what's going to take place at the beginning. They got to go down and seal the 12 tribes of Israel, 12,000 from each one, on 4,000. And then he showed this last half, these tribulation saints. They're going to serve the Lord forever. Remember, you got one group of saints that are there's redeemed by his blood. They're in heaven. They're singing a new song, and they're going to be kings and priests with him. This group, this is the second group of this big group. You got the seal, I believe the second seal, when he gives this guy power for everybody to go out, kill and destroy, kill everybody, people to kill, humans kill human, people kill human, kill them all. The Metallica album, kill them all. And that takes place. I believe that the world is going to be sick of Christians, because all the people left behind in the rapture, they're going to be going out telling everybody about Jesus. You better repent. He's coming back, and the world's going to hate him. And that's the group's going to be killed. And you see them in the fifth seal. They're all under the altar in their white robe, and they're saying, "How long, O Lord?" He's like, "Wait, hang on. There's going to be a bunch more killed just like you." And you see at the end of 7, now they have a white robe, and they're given these palm branches, and they're singing a song that's a little bit longer than the song they sang before. It's a total different group, and it says they're gonna serve with him. So there's a group that's going to reign and rule, and there's a group that's going to serve him. And people that teach you that there is no rapture and we're all going to go through all of this, better go get your cans of weenies and guns and ammo, because you're going to go through it. They're lying to you, straight up. I just call it out. Call them like they are. They're liars. They're straight up liars, and they are adding and subtracting from this book. Straight up. So if you believe that, you're being lied to. And if you're teaching that, you're lying. Straight up. Oh, I don't like this guy. I've had several people argue that point. I tell you, I've spent a lot of my life people want to argue, and I used to argue and build my case like a lawyer and defend my truth and prove it 1,000%. And they're like, oh, what about this? So I don't do that anymore, especially with scriptures. I'm definitely not going to argue scripture. I'm reading what I'm reading. I may be wrong, but it's not a salvational issue. I think if you're deceiving people on purpose, that's a salvation issue. But if your interpretation, you're reading, you're getting it wrong, that's not a salvational issue. And the Lord will keep seeking the truth. He's going to reveal it to you. So anyways, when he opened the seventh seal, so Jesus, who's he? He opens the seventh seal, and there was silence in heaven for about a half an hour. And I'm telling you, I probably heard 30 different people do the joke about this proves there's no women in heaven. Why? Because there's silence in heaven for half an hour. So it proves there's no women in heaven. I've heard that joke probably 30 people. So 30 different teachers teach that. So no, this is what I think. So 7, the beginning of the seal of the tribes of Israel, right? The remnant. You got the end, the tribulation saints. They're going to serve the Lord. Now we go back to earth. Jesus opens the seal, and there's silence in heaven. So I believe, like the silence before the storm. There's like a tornado. If you've been around or lived through a tornado, you know that it's like this eerie silence, and then destruction. I believe there's silence because like it's on like Donkey Kong right now. It's getting ready to go down, and the heavens, they know it, and everybody in heaven's like all this joyous, and we're singing to the Lord, singing this new song, praising Jesus, and then now it's like we're all silent because now the world is it's already went through a bunch of problems, but now we're going to see these angels are going to help God pour His wrath on mankind. And there's people that teach it. The church, the true believers, the Christians are going to go through all this. So he said, and so John says, and I saw 7 angels who stood before God, and to them were given 7 trumpets. Then another angel, having a golden censer, came and stood at the altar. He was given much incense, that he should offer it with prayers of all the saints. Again, these censers and these bowls that he has, probably, I don't know if it's the prayers from the entire history of mankind, that when they pray and they mourn and they cry and something bad's happened or something evil's happened, and all your prayers when you pray to God, and it's like praying for revenge or whatever. If you're praying for a Mercedes-Benz and a house, those prayers aren't in here. But I think all the unjust that has been done to mankind, like people being martyred for the faith, like Charlie Kirk, those prayers are being held in this censer. It's going to be held in these bowls, and they're going to be poured out on the earth later. It says he's got this prayer of all it's much incense, and it should be offered it with the prayers of the saints upon the golden altar which was before the throne, and the smoke of the incense which the prayers of the saints ascended before God from the angel's hand. It's got this bowl and the smoke and the prayers and this angel, and it goes before God. Then the angel took the censer, filled it with fire from the altar, and threw it to the earth, and there was noises, thunderings, lightnings, and earthquake. Every time I hear, like when he talks about he's in heaven, and I hear this, like he the way John describes it is noises and thunderings and lightnings and earthquake. And I think that's like all of us, like the murmuring of like if you ever go to a concert before the band starts and everybody's talking, and you kind of hear this murmuring in the stadium or football. Actually football, they're hyping you the whole time you're there, so maybe not football. Maybe a concert before, in between bands or something. Well, that's like us in heaven, and we're seeing this taking place, and we're all like, oh man, here it goes. The 7th seal is getting, the bowl judgments are happening, and then, like the energy, the lightning. But it may be on earth, thunderings and lightnings, and this earthquakes on earth. Either or. So the seven angels who had the 7 trumpets prepared themselves to sound. Are you ready? Some people call this the judgment of the thirds, and it's going to be, we're only going to go through the first 4, but we'll see what happens for this last one. So anyway, let's dig in. So Verse 7, the first angel sounded, and so remember I told you, God's using the first 7 seals, these judgments, he's at the beginning he's using men, so the world, after the rapture, the world is still like the world. And there's going to be these world leaders come along that try to, conquer, not conquer, trying to bring order back from the chaos. It doesn't work because all the Christians like, that was the rapture, and then they go out and kill all them. And then you're going to have this leader that's going to come along, control all the food, and try to control the people. They're going to be working and starving and working, and then you're going to have these other leaders come along, and they're going to kill a fourth of the world. And I think as it progresses, more people will start believing they're going to continue to keep killing them. But there's going to be another huge group later on that's going to be killed, and that will be the great tribulation saints. And they're all going to. That's the ones that's going to be. He said, "Don't worry about it. There's more to come." And that's when they're all together. And we read chapter 7. They're together singing the song, and they become servants to the Lord for eternity. That group's service to the Lord. The bride of Christ becomes kings and priests, and we reign and rule with him at least for the 1,000 years of the 1,000-year millennium. After that, I don't know. I don't think it says. So anyways, first angel sounded, the hail, fire followed, mingled with, so hail and fire followed, mingled with blood, and they were thrown to the earth, and 1/3 of the trees were burned up, and all green grass was burned up. So I don't understand what he's saying. Fire and it's mingled with blood. I don't know what that means. It can't be good. I mean, is it like fire and blood being poured on the earth? I don't know. But from those being thrown to the earth, 1/3 of the trees were burned up. I tell you, I think it's my most favorite thing on earth is trees. I love trees. I don't know why, but I love trees. So they're all 1/3 of them are burned up. I won't be here. I'll be in my glorified body with the Lord. And then all the grass. So like some people, they've broken it down. I think there's a group that figures all this out. But I've heard them teach that if you burn all the, like America, Canada, America, South America, if you burn all the trees, that would be 1/3 of the trees of the world. So, and I know the focus eventually is going to be on Israel, Jerusalem, and the Jewish people. So, I mean, to me that fits. If you destroy all that, now all these people, then maybe people survive. They're going to bring them back in chapter 19 or chapter 20. They bring everybody back. So maybe like they're destroyed and like we're not worried. Okay, you guys are little crusty critters. We're not worried about you no more. Now the focus is back on Israel and the kings of the north and all these countries around Israel is going to try to destroy them. And I mean, so that would fit. I don't know though. But somehow, I mean, I don't know. It's like so. I live in Richmond, or I live in Indiana, and so what? Like we got a big park here. So 1/3 of those trees are burnt. And then say on my street, 1/3 of the trees are burnt on my street. I don't know how that works out, but in total, 1/3 of them are gone. And that's the first trumpet judgment. Second trumpet judgment, verse 8. Then the second angel sounded, and something like a great mouth. So how long? So we will do time frames, right? How long do you think that judgment takes? I don't know. That might be take a day. Who knows? And then the second angel, because again, the formation of these 10 kings. So now again, I said on the sixth seal, I believe that now the angelic realm is are here with men, and we're going to see that next week. These demons and stuff are killing men. But I believe the angelic realm is now, this world is opened up. The spiritual realm that we can't see, this war is going on between principalities and powers. I believe you got Satan, but I believe there's all kinds of factions, probably 10 of them. Different groups of these fallen angels that want, like the Watchers and Satan and his whatever, and the third drawn down, and then, I believe there's probably, I'm not sure, but I would guess there's 10 of them. And they're going to all vie for this power, and this amongst men and these angels are going. I'm telling you, they're so powerful, and it's going to be like the days of Noah, and they're going to tell the people that we are the gods. We set up this planet. We was here way before you. And there's going to be some kind of lie that they're going to say they're God, and they want to control they can't take the earth because it's man's. They have to get permission. So that's why Satan's going to have a half-breed child where he can give them the permission to take the planet or whatever, rule or reign over it. But anyways, I don't go off on that. So anyways, I do that a lot. It's squirrel. I forgot where I was going at that point. But anyways, second angel sounded, and something like a great mountain was burning with fire. I was going to say back when I was teaching the sixth seal, I heard a lot of people say, well, the moon, the sun became black as sackcloth, the hair, the moon became like blood, stars fell down, and the sky rolled back. A lot of people teach that's nuclear war, and it's like, the mushroom cloud, and the covers the skies and darkens the sun. So I don't know how can the sun be darkened, but the moon is blood. If you can't see the sun, you definitely can't see the moon. But anyways, so I forgot to say that when I was teaching that, and the sky rolls scrolling back. So if you have a nuclear bomb go off in the sky, like what John sees as the nuclear mushroom cloud rolling, the sky's rolling back, how is that telling the people that they know God's judging them? If nukes fall on everybody on the planet, do you think they're thinking God did that? Or they think that Russia and America did that? And China? So, again, it's like I think Hal Lindsey in the 70s, and he was talking about, we'll go in later, this 200 million army on horses, and it talks about their hair and stuff, and he said it was like, because at his time, he's seen the helicopters with the faces painted on the front of them, and he was saying that John is seeing helicopters, and the blades of the helicopter is the hair, instead of saying, no, it's a demon. He's taking the time that he lives in, what he can see and what he knows, and he's putting it into the book of Revelation. This is what it is. This is what I think it is. No, that's what I'm trying to say, tell you what it's saying. So, anyways, this mountains with fire thrown to the sea, and a third of the sea became blood, and a third of the living creatures in the sea died, and a third of the ships were destroyed. So, maybe if you did that, there's a part of the, I think it's the Atlantic Ocean that like literally like the ocean divides and it doesn't mix. And so maybe that divide was created so when he destroys like the Americas, then the third of the sea, that all the blood it doesn't mix over to the side, to the side of Israel and Europe and all that. I don't know. But I know there's somewhere in the sea where the water is like this divide, if it's fresh water and salt water, and where it divides, or But I know there's like a division where the water literally doesn't mingle with each other. Maybe that was created that way for this judgment right here. I don't know. Imagine though, a third of the living creatures in the sea died, and a third of the ships. So I don't know. That's a lot of ships. I'm telling you, there's an app you can literally see like all the ports, all the ships in the ocean in the world. Like you look at like on COVID, and you look at all the ships that was in port in China. I mean, just like hundreds of thousands of ships all just sitting out there like docked out waiting. So verse 10, the third trumpet. Then the third angel sounded. So these might just be like boom, boom, boom. Like take place in a week, like 7 days. That's a good number, right? 7 days. Third of the angels sounded, and a great star fell from heaven, burning like a torch, and it fell on the third of the rivers and on the spring of the water. And the name of the star is Wormwood, and a third of the waters became wormwood, and many men died from the waters because it was made bitter. So, I mean, say it is the judgment, it's just all the Americas. And then now he's destroying the fresh water, like the lakes and the rivers and the streams. A third of that's all destroyed, and men are dying from it. So all this is going on over here. And meanwhile, behind this facade of this bookstore, over in Israel, the 10 kings are rising. They're reformulating this power structure. And they're getting ready to try to reign and rule the earth, right? Maybe it's all going at the same time, but most people teach 7 years. That's got to be going at the beginning. We already see what was going on at the beginning. All this chaos. Nowhere do you hear anything about the 7-year period during all this beginning. It's not given, but once you see the 7 years start, there's a timestamp on all of it, and the events are never mentioned and intermingled. So while a third, like a quarter of the world is being killed by these two riders that have power, death and Hades, and there's, I don't know, something spiritual about these horses. I don't think it's a literal horse. Something spiritual about that. Anyways, when they're killing a third of the world, you don't hear about Paul or the two witnesses. There's different things taught about that. But you don't hear anything about them in Israel teaching men to repent and people trying to kill them and they're bringing fire down from heaven. None of that, while they're giving their ministry, you don't hear, well, meanwhile, over here, a third of the world was destroyed. These two writers killed a quarter of the planet. No, all this stuff takes place before the 7-year period. Before, what people call the gap period. And I think the people that try to make all this fit in 7 years are way off. And I don't think they're doing it on purpose. I think it's just what they've always been taught. And then when they go read the book of Revelation, instead of sitting down and contemplating, how long will this actually take? Man, this is a brutal event that's going to take place on Earth. How long will that take? And how long will it take to recoup? Because at one point in time, the world is going to recoup and get back to normal, and people are going to be partying, and you're not going to be able to buy it. And it talks about how they're buying all the things of the world, and then when it's destroyed, they mourn. And it says you're not going to be able to buy and sell unless you have this mark. So at one point in time, it's all going to get back to normal. At least at the midway point, the world is going to be back to normal, and the world's going to be, woo, they're going to sign this peace treaty, and everybody's going to be hooping it up and stuff. So at some point in time during these 7 years, it's got to be normal. I believe that normal time comes when this leader finally rises up and he signs this treaty with these people. And later on, he's going to be killed. And they're like, who can go to war with this guy? He's God. We're going to worship him. We're going to take his mark. I love him. He's my God. Look, I'll get it on my forehead. I got it on my hand because, I don't know, forehead's kind of extreme. Well, I love him more than you do, or whatever. I don't know what they were saying. So anyways, this third angel, this great star. So that word, that star, is probably, I doubt it's an angel. That's probably like some kind of a star that hits the earth and just makes the waters bitter and like wormwood. So verse 12, then the fourth angel sounded, and a third of the sun was struck, a third of the moon, a third of the stars, so that a third of them were darkened. How that takes place, I don't know. How can he darken a third of it? I don't know. Maybe the earth is flat, and then the firmament, and he just darkens not only does he destroy the Americas and the waters around Americas, the third, maybe he darkens that side of the flat earth, and all those stars are darkened, and all the stars over here you can see. The world is flat. I don't know. But somehow that happens. Third of the stars, so it's going to take place. They're going to be darkened. Then it says, a third of the day did not shine, and likewise the night. So a third of the day was what? If there's no light, then it would be dark, right? But then he says a third of the dark's not. Likewise. I don't understand any of that. But it's a judgment, and it's the fourth trumpet, and it's going to take place on earth. I have no clue how it's going to happen, but it's going to take place, and the earth dwellers and the people left behind are going to live through this. And again, I believe this takes place in the gap period. So then verse 13 says, I looked and I heard an angel flying through the midst of heaven. I don't know what heaven that is, if it's heaven or the second heaven, which would be our solar system, or the heavens of like our sky. I don't know. You can do a word study and probably find out what that is. I should do one day. I haven't yet. But anyways, he's flying through the midst of heaven, saying with a loud voice, woe, woe, woe to the inhabitants of the earth, because of the remaining blast of trumpet of the three angels who are about to sound. There's three more angels. There's going to be three more trumpets, and he's saying, whoa, whoa, whoa. And I have heard the translation of this word. It literally means the horror. So he's saying the horror, the horror, the horror to all you inhabitants on the earth. Because these next three angels, whoo, they are not going to be good. And that's after what everything has already taken place. And if you've been watching these videos the last couple of weeks, you know it is bad. The world, it is bad. And he's saying these next three judgments are going to be even worse. But you'll see. So as I was trying to kept reading this and trying to figure out how to put it together, how it goes, you'll see on the the stuff that happens after this. I think is like during it's got some of this is like this, the first woe, and then from the first to the second woe, all these things that take place, it's got to be taking place. It has to be taking place during the first 3.5 years of the tribulation period. And at the beginning of the tribulation period, this beast system is being formulated, and you got these 10 kings that don't have any land, no power, and there's one that's going to rise up, speak out of the sea. I think that's key. It rises up from the midst of them, and he's given power, and there's these timestamps: 42 months, time and a half a time, 3.5 years, 1,260 days, just timestamps on everything. And you'll see the second woe, when that's finished, it's right after the 3.5 years, when the two witnesses are destroyed or defeated. The angel comes out of the bottomless pit and has war with them and kills them, and the world parties, and then they're ascended to heaven. It says that's the second woe, it just passed. So, for a fact the second woe is midpoint of the tribulation period. So if you're teaching 7-year tribulation, that's it. There's no gap. Then all this stuff that we're going to read up until the second woe takes place in 3.5 years. So that even shortens the time frame down more. They're trying to say all this takes place in 7 years. So they're trying to say that all this that we just went through, all this that the world just went through, takes place in the first 3.5 years. Because we're going to see on the second woe, that is midpoint of the tribulation period. I still can't find where the third woe is. So maybe we'll find it as we read through it. But I realized I went over and over and I said, where's this third woe? Where's this third woe? So maybe we'll find it together. But I can't, up to this point, I haven't figured out what. Now, there's a part where I was thinking this might be it, but I'm not for sure. So anyways, there you go. The first 4 trumpets, chapter 8, is we got the first 4 trumpets of the 7 trumpet judgments. And there's 3 more coming. It's going to be bad. The horror. And we know for a fact that so what takes place now, the 5th trumpet is going to be the locusts from the bottomless pit. They're going to sting men, and they're not going to be able to die for 5 months. It takes place for 5 months. Then you're going to have the 6th trumpet, and this river Euphrates is going to dry up, and there's 200 million demon horses and riders on them are going to go around and kill. I don't know how many people what do they kill? So this 200 million horse army with demons on it is going to kill another third of the world. How long is that going to take? And these are like demons. This angelic realm, they had this hybrid race. They when they died in the flood, their spirits became demons. They need possession. Well, you got these 2 different kinds of groups of these demons. They're going to go around and torment men and kill men. We know one's going to take at least 5 months. These locusts, are they going to go back to hell when they're done? Or are they still here on the planet, hiding, hovering, and waiting to control mankind? Are they security for the beast system? I don't know. It doesn't say where they go after they're done doing it. And then you got this 200 million man, 200 demon army that's going to kill people. And this is probably the army that's going to gather in the Battle of Armageddon. They're going to gather to rise up and fight God. To me, it's nonsensical to say that mankind is going to rise up and try to fight God. But I can see the angelic realm trying to do that because they've already been doing that. There's already battles going on throughout the history of man in this angelic realm, which I think there's a whole. You study. There's a whole study there's wars and battles that's going on with of God's creations before man. And we're caught up in the mix of that now because they came down here and tried to destroy us. And it's all intermingling now. But we are in spiritual realm, demon world, fallen angels mixed with men. We're in that time frame right now. And again, like I said, when we see the 2 witnesses killed in chapter 11, that's the it says this is the second woe is past, and we know for a fact that's the midway point. So people are teaching it's only 7 years, then they cut the 7 years down to 3.5 years, all because of the Great Tribulation. That stuff's got to happen at the end, because one of the bowl judgments is all the water turns to blood. How long can mankind live without water? I don't have any water right now. I'm like parched. I'm like, I need to go buy some water. I don't have any water in the house. I'm definitely not going to drink sink water. So anyways, there you go. Chapter 8 in the book of Revelation. Thanks for watching. I know I keep going long, but to me, this stuff's fascinating. It's important. It's sad. It's going to be devastating. And if you're a born-again Christian, you love the Lord, and you have people you know and love, and they reject it, I'm telling you, you need to get in your prayer closet and pray. Send them a link to this video. Maybe they'll listen to me. Most family members will not listen to a family. Most families that are not Christian, they will definitely do not listen to a Christian amongst their family. They will shun them and shut them out. So if you have family members you love and they've shunned you and shut you out and call you crazy or whatever, maybe they'll listen to this, they'll watch this video, and maybe the Lord will use me and His Word to convict them, to open their eyes, to pierce their heart, to open their ears, that also they can start hearing. Also, like the Lord opens it, like the scales come off their eyes, and the Lord opens their eyes, and all of a sudden they're like, wait a minute, this guy's making sense. I don't know. You never know. You love them, right? You don't want to see them going through all this, right? I don't. I pray for my sons every day. And, they reject me. I'm a family member. They reject me. They don't want to hear it. It's family. I love them, but you dust your shoe off and move on, right? I don't keep them out of my prayers, but every time I do get in contact with them, I start planting seeds, and they don't like it, so they dump me again. I don't want, don't talk to me. It's nanner. It's family. And if you have family, I'm sure they're doing the same thing to you. So yeah, thanks for watching. And again, it's Friday, so put down your phones, turn off your TVs, spend some time with your loved ones, and open up your Bible and do your own little Bible study every day. I'm telling you, it's rewarding, very rewarding, and it's addicting. The more you do it, I'm telling you, it's better than any drug. Anything you ever try to fill that little hole in your body, in your soul, that little hole you try to fill that's never full, the eyes are never full. Reading the Word and drawing closer to Him and building that relationship fills that hole completely. And it's like a drug, it's an addiction. You can't get enough of it once you start doing it. So I recommend that you do that. And I thank you for watching. And if the Lord tarries, we'll see you back here on Monday here on Misfit Island.